Hey guys, welcome back to my shop. I've got my 19 SS car here that I've had for about 4 years. And just like you, I've been adding electrical accessories all that time. I've got light bars, pod lights, mirror lights, whip lights, chase lights, heated seats, stereo, radio, the whole bit. Lately it's been a struggle to manage all my power at night. I've been having to balance my loads a little bit and keep an eye on that voltage, and I'd rather be just looking out on the dunes and having fun. I decided that I needed an alternator kit, so I checked out the kit from John Thomason at JTE Performance. I ordered that baby up and it just arrived, so let's get to some unboxing. All right, my kit shipped quick and here it is, and I'm looking right here on the label. This is what I ordered. 1-to-1 kit with a 75 amp alternator. Proudly made in the USA, baby. Let's get this opened up. All right. Well, looks like we got plenty of packing material in here. John's paperwork, everything's checked out. All right, this looks like my alternator. All right, I got a Goodyear belt, electrical wires kit here. Looks like a drive pulley, tensioner. All right, and my complete mount. Let's check out this alternator. Here's my high quality PowerMaster alternator. It's been thoroughly tested. Here's my steel alternator bracket, chromoly tubing, TIG welded. Got the JTE logo on it, top of the line. It's got a bracket here for the adjustment. All right, right here I've got the adjustment rod. Oh man, this thing's nice. That's one thing different about this kit is I can do one-handed adjustment of the alternator belt. Got 100 amp fuse protection there. That's awesome. And these cables are all heat shrinked. Looks like we got glue in the heat shrink. Nothing but the best from JTE. He's got his included sheet here, and it says that he's got instructions available with this QR code. You can jump into those. And everything listed checks out. We've got it all, so let's get this on the car. Okay, installation of this alternator kit is pretty straightforward, and this video is going to move pretty quickly. So if you'd like more detailed instructions, take a look at the instruction manual available on the JTE website. Alright, I went ahead and jacked up my car to make it easier to get underneath, and then you're going to want to get that skid plate off. Make sure you get a decent supply of dirt and sand in your face while you're at it. Remove the passenger seat and mounting bracket. Remove the center console, center trim fastener, and side cover. Remove the gas tank cover fasteners, but you do not need to remove it. Remove the back firewall behind the passenger seat. The fasteners removed from the gas tank will give you the ability to flex it and get it out of the way. Pull the top right corner out first. Remove the driveline shield and the flywheel cover. Remove the sway bar bolts to the frame on both sides. Now remove the drive shaft. Use a pry bar in the yoke to prevent it from turning clockwise because you can lose your timing on the motor. Mark the drive shaft where it slides together and separate the shaft. Install the pulley with the belt looped on it. Make sure the logo is facing the transmission. Slide the slip joint back together and you can lube the shaft if you want. Install the pulley with all new bolts and an included washer and put some blue Loctite on each bolt. Torque them to 37 foot-pounds, holding the yoke with a pry bar again. Cross torque the bolts. Now install the alternator pulley on the alternator. The step faces the alternator and torque it to 70 foot-pounds with a crow's foot at a right angle. Alternately, you can use an Allen wrench and a large wrench and tighten it to 3 good ooga-doogas. Now place the alternator up on top of the drive shaft. Remove the OEM breather and bracket off of the lower frame to make it easier to slide the alternator bracket in. Lift the sway bar brackets a little and slide the bracket in place. Angling down the front part going under the sway bar brackets will help. Install the sway bar bolts and slightly snug them. If you are having trouble getting them to line up, you can use a clamp or pry bar. Now drop the alternator into the bracket and place the 3 3/8 inch bolt in place and snug it up, but allow the alternator to still be adjusted. Now you can put the belt on both pulleys. Grab the turnbuckle and screw it together so it's fully short. Install the through bolt on the bracket and the top bolt on the alternator and torque both bolts to 18 foot-pounds. Now align the alternator with the drive pulley. You can move the alternator bracket forward or back with a pry bar, and when you get it lined up, lock the sway bar bolts down to 55 foot-pounds. Now adjust your belt with a 10mm wrench until you have about ½ inch of play on the belt. Make sure you don't over tighten it. Lock down the jam nuts on the turnbuckle when the tension is right. Snug up the lower alternator bolt. Now install the 2 alternator cables. The ground cable goes from the engine to the back of the alternator. The large lug goes on the ground of the engine where the factory cable is grounded. The other end goes on the back of the alternator, and you can use the ground boss provided or the extra bolt on the back of the alternator, whichever you prefer. There are 2 positive leads that are red. Grab the long cable first and take the straight end connector and feed it under the center trim alongside the ECU wiring and into the area above the transmission. Bend the wire around and run it back to the positive terminal on the alternator. Snug it up at 6 foot-pounds. Take the other end with the bent connector and attach it to the circuit breaker with the waterproof cable facing the front of the YXE on the driver's side of the tunnel. Finally, connect the short lead from the other side of the circuit breaker to the positive terminal of the battery with the provided bolt. The circuit breaker can be mounted with screws, or you can use some double-sided tape. Now it is a good time to test run the alternator. I'm going to go ahead and boot up all of my lighting and my radio, and I'll go ahead and get my seat heaters on and my intercooler fan, and then I'm going to move my heavy-duty steering kit and see what kind of voltage I'm getting. Wow, this is a huge difference with this alternator in place. I was dipping into 11s before, and now I'm up at high 13s and 14s. This is really good. Now I can go ahead and start ordering up the extra accessories I want. To finish up, install everything you removed for access to the alternator in the reversed order. As with any installation, it's always a good idea to recheck torque on your mounting bolts after a ride or two, especially with the sway bar bolts. Also, a good idea to keep an eye on the belt tension. Now enjoy the best alternator kit on the market and run all of your electrical items with ease.